Roll out. Ding dong.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give everyone a chance to populate.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today on this wonderful Tuesday. I want to acknowledge that we have, I am Aretta Baldon, and we have board member Tamara Jones also on. We also have family engagement as well as Travis, our chief strategist, on board, and board office support as well. What we'll do is I'll run through some updates, highlights, and then we'll turn it over to y'all for questions, comments. And the goal is to have all this done within an hour, and then let everyone get back to their evening. We will take questions after updates.
Yep, and if I could, Vice Chair Baldwin, I did see Board Chair Collins jump on the call too. So just acknowledge her.
Hey, we've got Board Chair Collins on the call as well. Welcome, Board Chair. Just for a little icebreaker, if everybody could just type in just a shout out your school, shout out your neighborhood. You can shout out your scholar. Just give a quick shout out. Let me know who's in the room. Do it in the chat for me. I see a couple hands raised. We will take questions after updates. Okay, so we got House Station in the house. Hey, Lily Denny. Anybody else got a shout out? Okay, we got Jackson and Mays Cluster, Family Engagement. We got Board Chair saying, hey, everyone. SWATs is in the house. We got Kip Metro in the house. We got a shout out to A New Beginning, Hailing Hollis Innovation, Vine City BTW Cluster. We got Mother Moore, AKA Vice President of the Hollis PTA on board. We've got Emily Holland, Office of Family Engagement. I see Kip Strive and Kip Atlanta Collegiate on board. Okay. And as I mentioned, we've got a couple board members, so excellent. It's great to see you all here. Looks like we also have someone representing State Representative Misha Maynor on the call. So we've got a nice crowd. Washington and Douglas Cluster in the house.
Yep, and also Vice Chair Baldwin, we did have Council Member Amos to just join the call as well.
Okay, we got Council Member Amos himself on the call. Welcome, welcome. So welcome everybody. As I said, we're gonna run through some quick updates and then turn it over to questions with the intent of getting us out of here in an hour. I see Mechanics Bill is in the house, shout out. So the first thing I'd like to do is to acknowledge our new interim superintendent, Dr. Battle. And for those who do not know Dr. Battle is familiar and a familiar face within APS. And she has worked with us for 19 years. She served as principal of Parkside Elementary and Martin Luther King Middle School, associate superintendent, as well as the interim chief of schools and academics. Dr. Battle will lead daily operations of the school system and continue working with the board for educational goals. Dr. Battle is excited to step into this role and to help the system. And I'm going to give y'all a quote that she said, because I just thought it was pretty awesome. I wanted to share with you. So from Dr. Battle's mouth, as the interim superintendent and lifelong educator, I stand here with a deep sense of a personal accountability. I am here to serve our students, the Board of Education, parents, and the taxpayers of Atlanta. I am fully committed to ensuring a stable and productive environment for our district during this period of transition. My initial focus will be on advancing literacy, fostering classroom success, and collaboratively engaging with our teachers, principals, and community Together, we will all build upon APS's strong foundations to achieve continued success for all. So I want you all to welcome Dr. Battle when you see her out in the streets and in the schools, because she is most certainly already out there. So please make sure to give her some love and a warm welcome. Next, I'm going to give some highlights. We'll start with Douglas High School. Heads up, there is a new associate superintendent that is over Douglas. That associate superintendent is now Tommy Usher. So it was Dr. Woolfolk, but is now Tommy Usher. So make note of that, Douglas cluster, that is your new associate superintendent, and Dr. Woolfolk will still be over the Washington cluster. I also want to shout out Douglas for having an amazing program on Saturday, and it was a program acknowledging and dedicating the Fine Arts Building to band director Vanable H. Moody, who started the program there at Douglas and was head of it for 41 years. He wrote the alma mater song, he designed the uniforms, and just was very impactful and had a very strong presence there. And so they took the time out to celebrate him, to acknowledge him, and to rename the Fine Arts Building. And it was an awesome program. So shout out to Mr. Moody, Douglas graduates, and all the band participants of Douglas. Also want to acknowledge that there is a new project kicking off at Douglas. It was just announced, I believe, last week, and it is a collaboration with hip hop legend Dr. Dre, and Interscope record founder Jimmy Iovine. And they're continuing their support of music education through a new partnership with Atlanta Public Schools. So the Iovine and Young Center will be located inside the Frederick Douglass High School, and it will combine a rigorous interdisciplinary curriculum with real-world opportunities. So that deal is just solidified. The program is literally currently being written right now, but a lot of exciting things happening over there. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for that. Again, we're going to take questions at the end of updates. Moving on to Washington, I want to give a shout out on you guys. I think everyone here is aware of our Student Advisory Council. There's a council that Keith is very much involved in, but there are student voices, our direct student voices when we need to consult and represent all the high schools within the cluster. But why am I saying this in the Washington highlights is because our new chair and vice chair of the Student Advisory Council are from Washington High School. So that is Brooke, Shelton, and Peyton Hall. So shout out to Washington High School for stepping up. And Brooke, I want to say this is her first year on the council, and she stepped in and stepped up and got elected chair. So I'm excited about what's going to come from that amazing group of students. I also want to highlight this really cool lab that is at Washington High School. And so it's a lab that's sponsored. It's a big combination of Morehouse School of Medicine, Apple, and Propel. So together they and Washington, they applied for a grant, and they received a grant to fund the school's Ag STEM program, which focuses on environmental sustainability and promoting urban farming and addressing food insecurity, and specifically in the community. So towards the end of last year, I believe Tamara, Ishay, I'm not sure who else is on the call, but a good number of board members. And I went into the center and watched the students working with the products and solving real world problems around food insecurity. So just in case y'all didn't know what was going on in these schools, we have this pretty amazing lab that through community partnerships and funding, we were able to bring this about. And so it provides technology-focused professional development for Booker T. Washington CTAE teachers. It incorporates experiential learning components from the Morehouse School of Medicine Master of Public Health Service learning model. And it engages students in many projects aimed at ideating and designing sustainable urban farming systems. So that's pretty cool. So I wanted to make sure you guys are just aware of the cool stuff that's going on. We did also have a safety meeting with Chief Ackland at Washington And that presentation can be made available. Just reach out to myself or Keith, and we can send that. It was basically just a recap of resources, both human and machine, that we're using around safety. Want to give a highlight for Herman J. Russell Weston Academy. I was there yesterday, and they have a program with big brothers and big sisters that they started off with just a cohort and has now been expanded to the whole school, where everyone in the school will be involved in the Big Brothers Big Sister mentoring program. It's a combination of group as well as one-to-one mentoring, but that program is being brought to 2 schools, and Herman J. Russell West End is one of them. And that's pretty amazing that we've got that partnership in the school, because mentorship has just so many benefits for both the mentee and the mentor. So shout out for that. And Herman J. Russell Weston Academy was named a Verizon Innovation Learning School last year. And this year they got their lab, the second of the kind in the state. The other one is actually an APS too. But so they have this really cool innovation lab that sits down in the basement, where they're learning through virtual reality. They've got 3D printers, and they're not just making trinkets, but they're actually using it to make art. And it's just a really cool way to show the full STEAM, not just the STEM, to the students within that. And so that's something else exciting that's happening right here in District 2. Another shout out I want to give is to KIPP Atlanta Collegiate. They were recently designated a family-friendly school by the state superintendent. So some people, this may be old news, but I wanted everyone to know that there's good things happening everywhere all across District 2. And the Georgia Family Friendly Partnership School Award is in recognition of best in customer service for Georgia families. And each winning school has created inviting, easily navigatable environments where helpful, courteous staff members are eager to assist students and their families. So shout out to that. And again, we're going to take questions at the end. So jot down your question and we'll come back to it. I just got a couple more updates. If you guys haven't noticed, there is a sign sitting outside of FL Stanton, because at last, FL Stanton is getting a remake, remodel, makeover, whatever you want to call it. It's about to be refreshed and renewed. So Stanton is currently under construction, and the current students are at the Bethune campus off of North Side. Okay, so the other thing, Keith, maybe you can help me by posting this number in the chat. I want to let you all know, through the Truancy Collaborative Partnership with APD, the MARTA truancy officers, there's been a greater emphasis on empowering the community to report truancy. So if unsupervised youth are noted within the community loitering, they're encouraged to contact APS Truancy Services. That phone number is 404-802-3611. Keith dropped it in the chat. I'm going to say it again, 404-802-3611. If you see unsupervised youth that are noted within the community engaging in criminal activity, community members are encouraged to contact 911. But hopefully they're not engaged in criminal activity. They just need a little redirection, like that way to school. And you can give that truancy number a call and we can encourage them, maybe even give them a lift. There is a flyer that we can drop in as well. I'm not sure if you can access that, Keith, but a flyer about getting our kids in school. Let's get our kids in school. Okay, so the other update I want to give is, yes, we are currently searching for a superintendent. We have an interim superintendent now who is committed to us through July, but we are currently working on a search that goes in phases. So the first phase, the phase that we're in now, is selecting the search firm who's going to help us find this amazing leader. Once that firm has been selected, then there will be community engagement, actually stakeholder engagement. So all folks, right, to understand the profile of this next leader, so we can write this profile and use it as a filter for when selecting the next leader. There is a subpage on the board website if you want to go and check out timelines or just want some information, you can check on that. But yes, we are currently in the process of searching for a superintendent. The way the process is currently timed, the actual person would not be announced until next year around April. There is a lot of importance and confidentiality in this process. And that's because anyone who's applying for this job probably currently has a job. And so when you're looking for a job, you don't want your current employer to know that you're looking for leaving. So that's why you're not going to see names out there, because it is incredibly important that we keep those names confidential for the people who are looking for this job, right? Because we don't want to impact their livelihood. And again, this is a long process. The community will be engaged. There is a page dedicated to it on the board webpage. So check that out and reach out with any questions or concerns. Other highlights I want to give, if we've got any alumni on the call, there will be an alumni association meeting on September 14th. Where is that, Keith? Is that at the board
It'll be a
office?
CLL. Yep, inside of the board auditorium.
And is that only a in-person option?
It is. Yep, only in person.
Okay, so on the 14th, there's an in-person alumni association meeting. On the 19th, there's a good number of things happening down at the board office. We will have a special call board meeting at 9. Board development will have their committee meeting at 9:15. There will be a facilities meeting, retreat at 2:00, and then Ishay will have her community meeting that evening at 6:00. Anyone who is on the call in regards to facilities, what you mentioned and asked me about in this meeting, I may know nothing about because of a couple of things. One, the person who is interested in buying the property may have jumped the gun and already gone to the community and asked for approval to buy the property without even coming to us yet, right? So that could be a situation, or it could be something that we don't know about yet because administration is working on it and they're going to present it to us at the retreat. So if you are on this call specifically to ask about the property and mechanics bill, then I encourage you to reach out to Jason Dozier, because he has communicated to me that there's been a lot of miscommunication about what the city wants to do with that. There will be engagement, but he is the person to reach out to for that. If you're in the call to share a point of view about selling land to Willie Watkins, that has not been brought to us. So you have more information than I do about that. So I would encourage you to reach out to Daniel Drake with any questions in regards to properties, because right now that sits in administration. Administration is going to do their due diligence and then would bring things to the board. And again, if this is something that is incredibly important to you, there is a retreat on the 19th at 2:00. I believe you can come in person as well as watch online for that. And there will be community comment options for that. September 21st, there will be a policy review committee meeting as well as an audit committee meeting. And then on the 28th, there is a budget commission meeting at 10. And then there also will be the City of Atlanta and APS joint committee meeting that evening. So that's my long list of updates. Keith, I'm not sure if you were watching the hands, but I know Waukesha raised her hand earlier on in the process. And I know Sherry Bilal had a question earlier on. I think there was another hand held up, but it went down. So I'm going to turn it over to you to handle, to call questions. And then we will also be leaning in on all those on the call for answers. Family engagement strategy, other board members, feel free to chime in with responses.
Yes, ma'am.
Yours.
All right, thank you. And so good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us for our first kickoff of District 2 community meetings for the 2023-2024 school year. We have reached community comment. We do ask, because we do have a lot of people on the call and we have a short amount of time, that if you do have any questions, concerns, anything you would like to share, that you get directly to those things so that we can allow enough time for board members to respond and to hear from everyone that wishes to provide us with some type of feedback. And so as Waukesha and others have done, we do ask that you raise your hand so that we can place you into the queue. And then we will call your name as you guys raise your hand. And so Vice Chair Baldon, if you are ready, we will start with Waukesha and then move on to Sharon, then to Dion.
Real quick, before we go there, just in case Councilmember Amos has to jump off the call, Councilmember Amos, did you have any updates or announcements that you wanted to share with us this evening? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I did want to give you the opportunity. Okay, we'll come back to him on the back end. Okay, Waukesha, Ms. Howe?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing great.
Byron,
Good morning.
you gotta run.
Afternoon. Okay.
Byron got to run over here in the MPU meeting, and I wanted to share this with you. This is not my question, but this is coming from the chair for you to come to the MPU meeting because you actually scheduled this meeting during her time. And so I'm multitasking as I always do. So she would love to see you there. I just got in the meeting early and I promised I would share it with you. But I wanted to ask you two questions. Did you see no, let me start here. Do you plan on running for chair or vice chair in January?
I have no idea what I plan to do in January, quite honestly.
Okay. Did you see the article on yesterday? Now, I heard you shout out Dr. Baldon, and we appreciate that. I know it kind of felt like tooth and nails getting to that point, but in the article that was released yesterday or on the news or whatever, it talked about how APS workplace is kind of hostile. And so I know you guys, y'all try to do the board thing, but there is a huge disconnect between the board and what the superintendent past have been allowing to happen. I'm just going to say we have lost a lot of good teachers and staff because of this culture and climate that's inside of APS. And what I'm really worried about our tax dollars. Our property taxes are extremely high and we're not getting a return, the educational return on our investment. And I worry about when I see cases like this and there's a big figure that's going to come behind it. The school is being sued, and I know you might can't speak on this, but just to keep in mind, a lawsuit come and our tax dollars are diverted to something else and it comes from the kids. And we already see that they're behind, whether you're going to say COVID or something else. But we need to, as you talked about the superintendent search, we need to have better leadership moving forward because what we have had is not acceptable. And the culture inside APS must change to better our children. So I wanted to stop right there. I think Dion might have already put my other question in the chat, but you and Byron, can you tell us what you guys have done on the joint committee? I know it's an upcoming meeting, but what have you guys done to this point that you can share with the community?
Well, one of the big things that we can share that Tamara was a big part of helping make happen was a collaboration with Parks and Rec and the swimming pools. So making the swimming pools available to our schools that did not have pools, as well as making our children or our scholars available for lifeguard training to be lifeguards in the city pools. And through that partnership, the city pools were able to be open every weekend this summer. So that's one big thing that has happened. The other thing that we need to figure out, which is high up on the agenda for the meeting coming up, is exactly how we're working together and functioning. The sharing of information has been helpful. So not guessing, but just being a little bit more aware of what the other party is doing. But there's certainly space for more collaboration and us working together. And first and foremost, identifying formally, is this a committee? Is it a commission? Are we what exactly? Because the people on the committee aren't the ones that actually make the stuff happen, but they're ones that can be the conduits to make it happen. So it's honestly, in my eyes, figuring out what is that relationship and our workflow. So we, aside from identifying the areas that are important to us both that we can work together on, that quick win on the wasn't quick, sorry Tamara, because it wasn't exactly quick, but a good win on that. We are working together. Byron, did you have anything to share?
No, Madam Vice Chair, I think you hit it dead on the head. The other piece that we've been able to do, just reconvening the meeting, so everyone could get on the same page. We actually added our county representatives as well. So that is a big piece. Now, the residents have school board, city, and county actually talking about how do we take care of the future residents of the city and the county, and that's our children. So everything else, I think you hit dead on the head. We have a huge meeting coming up, huge being that, like you say, we're talking about the committees and how we move forward. So just thank you.
Well, thank the both of you guys for that. And to the other question, are you guys working on any policy that is ensuring that teachers, staff have a safe space to place their concerns? Is it something already in place that will keep us from being in a lawsuit in the future? Or do you have any policy around it?
So I'll have to do research on specifics, but within our goals and guardrails, we were very specific about the culture that we want or that we don't want. And I agree that there's definitely a lot of work to be done there. And I cannot comment on any current legal actions. And I would have to do research around policies aside from the guardrail that the superintendent would not foster fear, intimidation, and a culture of fear, intimidation, and retaliation. And I want to say that I have seen firsthand how Dr. Battle moves, and I think it's going to be refreshing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you. So we'll go to Sherry and then to Dion.
Oh, and also, Ms. Howe, please share with Chair my apologies, and we'll work on being more considerate of MPU schedules and when trying to schedule this next meeting.
Well, I'm gonna let you tell.
Okay, I'll give her a call tomorrow. Thank you. Because I think their meeting starts now at 6:30.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we probably need to get Sherry's question real quick because she's the education chair for that MPU. Did she drop off?
No, I'm here, Aretta.
Okay, can we do Sherry? Okay.
Yeah, I was on to ask you about all the information that you just shared. We wanted to know if we can have it in a doc so we could share it out on the MPU, or if you're willing to come on, because we have a meeting today at 6:30.
I can send it to you if you forgive any typos that are in it right now, and then I'll update it. So, yeah,
just in general, so we could actually be getting the engagement going.
Yes.
And my other topic was, are you open to pushing school pride in the Washington cluster? Because I know a lot of, I know it was a lot of push for tapestry. There was kind of selling a dream, making it believable, but we have the dream in our own community. So are you open to having a platform for school pride?
I'm most certainly open to that.
And we're also
hopefully I exude pride all the time. I be trying to pass it on, y'all. It's contagious. It's contagious. Come on, get some of this pride.
We want to ensure that is happening with the Book T Washington cluster. You know, I'm also interested in having those Midtown facility talks between Washington.
Okay.
To get the kids back into Washington High School. And that's it for me.
Okay. I'm certainly open to that, and that I'm open to all pride. So Douglas Pride, Kip Pride, y'all bring me the information, and I'm gonna blow it up. Let's go.
All right, thank you, Sherry. We'll go Dion and then Miss Myrick.
Good evening. Thank you, Aretta, for having this meeting. I greatly appreciate it. You hold a couple important seats in the board, and I really appreciate your leadership and your enthusiasm for where we are right now. On the ethics committee, I'm sorry, on the audits committee, I guess there's a couple questions that I have. I know you're a member of that committee that I'm hoping that we can potentially see some updates and maybe some new things with the new superintendent. We haven't ever seen a report out on the employee relations complaints. I know Connie, the ones that stay in Connie's office, she reports on, but you know, I know last fall about this time, there was a lot of change in the employee relations department, and many people are now just seeing that based on the news report that came out last night and the lawsuit. But this was going on, you know, more than last year, because many of these people resigned and or were fired last year at this time. So I think as Waukesha said, the safety net, and as Ishe spoke to at the board meeting, like the fail safe, it just let employees down. And I'm hoping that that audit committee checks on that a little bit more and tries to find a process so that that doesn't happen again.
So I want to say that Connie, she shared numbers. It was our last audit committee where she did a breakdown of just what was received and how it was handled and where it went. Did you see that most recent audit report?
Nicole Lawson, though, once they leave, you know, from my understanding, the last two times I've seen that very brief slide, Connie speaks more to the ones that stay in her office, which is a small percentage. It's the 10%, I think. And so we get more of a report out from that. But all of these ethics complaints flow through the Board of Education office. And I think everyone is looking for you guys as that ethics hotline was set up as the fail safe. Another example is, like, you know, we just recently got an audit on the federal and state grants that was presented to the audit committee. And one of your external audit committee members mentioned how concerned he was at such high risk, but yet no mention of the high risk audit that happened in November of 2022 was mentioned. And we now, many of us know that it was widely known within APS that we were going to have to pay back $5 million. But yet for some reason that was left off of that federal and state grant audit.
And tell me, what is your question?
I guess the question is we're all just looking to have improvement with this new leadership on those fail safes.
Okay, so it's more of a comment. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so yes, with giving you examples of how people are saying, you know, even Chair Collins said, why didn't our fail safes or our checks and balances?
Understood. And did you have another question?
Yes. As chair.
And is it a question or a comment?
Yeah, it's a question. Would you be willing to, okay, so for the audit committee, going back to those, are you guys willing to explore those fail safes and make sure that you guys up them? I guess there's your question for that.
That's a question we would have to have with the committee. And I will also say right now that our entire department is under severe stress because we are understaffed in terms of auditors on staff and having to even outsource this. So I will bring that question up to the audit committee and encourage you to come to that meeting, which is on the 21st at 2.
Okay. And I know that you've increased the external auditors that you used over the last year and the funding for that department. So I hope that has improved things. With regards to the accountability committee, as chair, over the last year, we've heard continuously that the superintendent accountability tool is being designed. What is the updates on that accountability tool design process? And when will we get an update on that?
There is not an update right now. because the accountability committee was handling other things, and so that was put on the back burner. And so that conversation, we're probably going to have a meeting in either September or October because we need to talk about what does the interim situation look like, and then what does the larger accountability look like. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Is there a tentative update in terms of when that might be finalized?
No, there isn't.
So we have no accountability tool for a superintendent another
As
year.
I just said, we don't have that right now. No. And will it be another year? Probably not. You'll just have to stay tuned. I don't have an update.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we'll go to Ms. Myrick, followed by Akeem.
Hello, my question is Ms. Battle going to do a cluster tour so where the parents can get a chance to ask Ms. Battle questions about what's going inside the cluster?
That's something that I can share with her. I do not know what she has planned for the next few months, but I can definitely share that there is an appetite, which I'm sure she knows, there's an appetite for folks to get in front of her and to engage. And so we'll share that.
Because like right now she's going around to the schools, but parents cannot go to the schools the same day she's there.
Understood. I am sure that she is going to make opportunities available for parents to meet her. She just started with the schools, and not going into all of them, but trying to touch every cluster. So we will definitely share. It looks like Travis has said they're working on figuring that out. The focus the first couple of weeks was visiting the schools, then the principals, assistant principal meetings. So it is coming, and we will let her know that you are anxiously awaiting it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Next is Akeem, and then Mother Mamie.
Hey everyone, good evening. Hey, Boardman Baldon. So some time since we met and talked, but glad to be here tonight with you. My question is around the truancy. I hear your truancy update for the district, that now we could call in if we see kids roaming around the neighborhood. But my question would be more towards public safety and the safety of our youth and students. With this truancy line, are they also going to be out more patrolling the areas that are high risk for sex trafficking and high dangerous areas such as the MLK corridor? They have had more upticks in human trafficking between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. And I know our school buses start around 6. I know me personally going to work, I have seen solicitation going on right on MLK, and it's sometimes dangerous for our students. Is the truancy office going to operate just a little bit better than just being a police system for our students, but more of a public safety aspect for our youth?
I can't speak 100% to that. It sounds like that's something that APS PD would also work in conjunction with us doing. I do know that I have seen APS patrol cars out stationed next to bus stops. I've also seen school personnel that sits at high population bus stops. For instance, Kipways has a bus stop at the fire station right off of Joseph E. Boone, and there's usually an administrator sitting with them, and the fire station allows the kids to play. So I believe that is something that's happening across the board, but I would have to ask Chief Applin your specific question to get you a more specific answer. Keith, can you make a note of that?
Yep, I did.
Thank you.
And my second question would be around the literacy and numeracy scores across the district. I do understand that Dr. Battle primary focus is going to be literacy, because that is one of the fundamental values for every child that goes to Atlanta Public Schools. But some of my issue is that it seems as if in grades kindergarten through third grade, we focus on teaching the child how to read, and then beyond that, it goes towards comprehension and then application. But if you never learn how to read, then there's nowhere in the district that goes back and teach you how to read. So we tend to push students along. And being that we're in this restructuring phase, I would love to fix that or have that on the radar, like making sure that we have checkpoints so that students are able to, if they come to us from a different county or a different dynamic or a different background or whatever happened to them, that they could at least learn literacy and push forward from there.
So
I
we
don't know if
do
that's a question comment, but
it's a comment, and I want to give you a comment back that one of the awesome things that we have in place now is the map testing, which allows, if a student is coming in or from somewhere else or changing schools, that it doesn't just tell us that you're simply not proficient, but it tells you where you are and what you need to work on. And then with that map test, the teacher as well as the parents, you get an individual report out on how you can work to progress and remediate. I want to say, Travis, I could be wrong. Is this our last year of the 30 minutes extra time?
Sorry, this is the third year, but I'm not sure what decisions have been made past that.
But we initially agreed to 3 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So we also have 30 minutes a day where students can use that time to catch up. I can't,
sure.
I have not seen where we fell yet, like our monitoring report for the growth that we've had. If our map scores are indicative of where our milestones fell out, we did see some growth. It was not exponential, but we did see some growth to proficiency and as well as across bands. And we'll have to stay tuned to that next monitoring report in terms of what does that look like specifically, not just on average, but within our subgroups and across our clusters. But you are correct that Dr. Battle did make a point to say that there was going to be a focus on literacy. There is also conversations within our policy committee around a actual literacy policy. So they're doing some work with some different folks and some different research to see with a policy how the board can also further help the superintendent reach that goal. Tamara, was there anything you wanted to add on that?
Sure. So the policy committee is going to be meeting this month, as you said, and we do have a draft underway of a literacy policy. We've been working with some, a variety of different reading experts to figure out what within the board policy toolkit will support and enable the kind of literacy interventions that you're asking for, Akeem. So it will be providing those guardrails. The board doesn't pick curriculum or anything like that, but the board can put things into place that help guide and enable the kind of literacy intervention and instruction that is most beneficial for our kids. And that's what we're working on. So hopefully we'll get that passed before the end of the year.
Thank you all for your comments. You're on mute, Board Member Baldon.
Thank you, Akeem. Just want to highlight, we've got a number of hands raised and time is ticking, but we're going to get to everyone. But I just want to encourage everyone to be concise. And I will be concise also.
All righty. So we'll go Mother Mamie Moore. And then
yes, good evening, brothers and sisters. I am glad to be here. This is a statement of pride. I am thrilled to be a part of the reactivation of the Hollis PTA. My understanding from Sister Sherry below is that it's been over more than 5 or 6 years since we've had one. So y'all can virtual clap on that. I don't hear nobody clapping or laughing or anything. The second is a question, and I think possibly to the policy folks. Above and beyond Midtown Washington cluster talking, I want to know where the board is and if on the agenda there is conversation going on about redistricting of the Washington cluster.
So that's news to me.
No, I don't. I just wanted to say that. Let me explain.
Okay.
Someone mentioned Midtown Washington conversation. For me, what is brought up, board member Aretta, is there was about redistricting in relationship to Midtown. So I want to know if there is any conversation going on around redistricting a Washington cluster, or is that a dead matter?
I believe that that matter was formally put on hold. I don't know if it's officially dead, but it's not a current conversation. I'm going to look at Travis to give me an administration update. But as far as the conversations I'm having with my colleagues, it is not one that I'm currently having. It is one that I would entertain, but it is not one that I'm currently having.
I would agree, Vice Chair Baldwin. It is a conversation that was put on pause and that I have not had with anyone. And yeah, we have not talked about it since it was put on pause.
But what I am committed to doing is to continue to share the pride that I have in Washington cluster, and to continue to encourage folks to come inside the walls and to see the amazingness that we have, right? And so before they form a judgment or turn their nose one way or the other, that they know what they're reacting to. And I encourage Washington to keep on shining.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go to Don.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. And I'll go ahead and turn on my video so you can actually see me. Hi, Aretta. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Don. How are you? I see you got a new name.
That's my first name. I forget.
Love it. Love it.
I thought you knew that. Okay, yeah. So one, I just wanted to say, like, you know, I always come on and talk about the things I'm not happy with. So I want to say, one, super happy with the new principal, great selection. He is really working out well at Mays High School. Very happy with them. Entire atmosphere has changed. Two, you know, I'm crazy happy about Dr. Battle. I just think she's going to make a lot of change in APS, and I'm excited about literacy. So two comments, super happy about. Third thing, I know, right? So third thing, so this one, I don't think it's negative, but I do have a question. And I asked this question in a meeting with Erica and Katie. And so they explained to me, so you probably know how I feel about charter schools, right? Just a little bit. So I feel as a public school, you were literally voted in to represent Atlanta public schools. So I've heard you talk a lot about KIPP tonight and kind of updates on KIPP. So I'm going to ask, first, let me tell you what Erica said to me, because I asked, why are you guys talking so much about charter schools? That's not what the charter for Atlanta Public Schools says that you're supposed to be representing, right? Charter schools elected not to be bothered with APS said, we don't want your leadership. We're just going to take the money and we're going to have our own board and our own leadership. So that's my understanding. So I understand that they vote for you. I get that. That's what Erica kept saying. Well, Dawn, they vote for us. So that's the reason why we listen to charter parents, because they vote for us. I get that. But I'm a little uncomfortable with you guys repping and talking about updates when you have nothing to do with KIPP and what they do. Their scores, their board, you have nothing to do with that. So kind of like, why do you like keep bringing them up?
Okay, so I didn't talk a lot about them. I gave updates on all the high schools that fall within my cluster, and I'll probably continue to do that.
Yeah, but under their charter, seriously, like.
I understand your point has been made. We've got 4 other people with their hands raised. I hear you. I receive you. I am not representing them. I simply gave them a shout out. And I also shouted out Washington and Douglas and Herman J. Russell.
But those are public schools, so that's the expectation. So again, I'm asking, this is not something I haven't asked other board members. I'm just concerned that this blending of charter schools into public schools, when you guys like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there should be any energy put onto or into charter schools, because we have so many things we need to focus on in Atlanta public schools. We need their boards to focus on their needs, and our board members need to focus on the needs of our schools. I don't think we have any energy or resources that can go anywhere else, to be quite honest. So
okay, thank you for your input.
I know, but so my question was, why are you even giving us updates on charter schools that you have no influence over?
So I gave you an update because it was something that I was proud of and I wanted to acknowledge. The school falls within my district. I have a number of parents whose children go to those schools, and there are actually some on this call, and I gave them a shout out. That's why, because I'm being inclusive.
All right, thanks.
All right, we'll go to Renee, followed by Shalana.
Good evening. My name is Renee Giles. I live in Mechanicsville. I attended the meeting, the board meeting last week, and a couple of questions. When will APS develop and adopt a process to ensure there's community engagement before the sale and transfer of APS properties? That's question one. And then the second question is, how can we find out what properties are up for discussion to sell or transfer? There are 2 additional properties in our neighborhood that one is Prior Road that's coming up for discussion, I believe as early as next week. So we want to definitely make sure we're in front of the conversations that are going on with APS and any other interested parties.
So what you could do, one place you can go is there's a whole page on facilities and all the meetings that we've had. We have a retreat coming up on the 19th, where administration is going to be sharing stuff with us, recommendations. So you can come to that. You can speak at that meeting for community comment, as well as attend in person or virtually. If you want to speak directly to the person who does the management or property management, that person is Daniel Drake. And you can send your feedback to him, possibly to Travis too. I'm sure Travis would get that over to Mr. Drake as well. So I want to say that there are 16 properties that have been identified as disposable. And that process, maybe we'll be talking about that. I'm not sure what the agenda is for the 19th, but I will ask about that process for community engagement. And then what was the rest of the question? How do you find out what properties? I believe that would be listed in the last presentation that we had from facilities. Daniel Drake would be who you could communicate with directly about intentions. That property that you mentioned on Prior, I do not think that one, do you know what that exact address was? Because I just got something about that.
David, I think you're on the call. What's the address? Do you know?
Yeah, stand by. I just pulled it up. Hold on.
Is that the one that Mr. Northern would have reached out to me about?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
It's let me see. Hold on, because I just I know it's Doan Street. Oh no, it's 630. It's off of Doan and Prior, 635 Prior Street.
For some reason, I don't know if that one's on the list. I'm going to have to follow up with you if that's the one, because I've got 2 properties, one that had graffiti on that we recently got cleaned up. And then there was that's the property. Okay, I'll have to look and see, because I know that Mr. Hoskins just told me that one of those properties is not on the list. So I'm going to have to look and see. I can't find it right now. My search is not as refined as I'd like it to be. So I would have to get back to you on that particular address for the one that I don't think is for sale. But there definitely needs to be a process. We have made that one of our guardrails. We've been very vocal about making sure that we include community input on community land. Now it's input, not dictation, but input.
All right, thank you. Oh, was All right. We'll go to Shalandra, then followed by David. And just before you go, the time is 6:58, and so Ms. Dukes will be our last speaker, and then we'll turn it over to Vice Chair Baldon to close us out, and we will definitely follow up where we're needed to do so.
Hi, Vice Chair Baldon. I attended the APS board meeting last week as well, and I have not had a chance to do what I intended to do right after, which was to actually email you. You voted to approve the land swap between Hope Hill and Cooper Street in Mechanicsville after hearing the concerns of the neighbors. And I'd like to know what you see as the benefit to your district, our community, our children who are being cared for and educated steps away from that property.
So from my understanding, and I'm not completely 100% in the loop on what they're doing, but affordable housing is beneficial to everyone. Not giving, I believe the intent was to provide affordable housing. And I think that affordable housing benefits everyone, especially now when the cost of living is so high. And actually affordable, not this 80% AMI affordable, because the AMI in our neighborhood is not comparable to the state AMI, if you will. Jason Dozier did reach out. I have not had a chance to talk to him directly, but he did mention that there's some miscommunication and misunderstanding about projects and what it is that they're trying to do. But my understanding is that the community will be directly engaged and involved in what they have going on. And we also made that strong recommendation in the I don't know what the formal word is for what we did, but in the motion. So affordable housing to me is the benefit. Yeah. And we can talk about this more offline, because I see that you have more thoughts in your head than time that we have. So please send me an email. We can set up a time to talk. I also encourage you to reach out to Jason Dozier. He is incredibly open to feedback and engagement if you have not, and speak directly with him.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go David, and then we'll end it off with Cam.
Hey, Aretta, David Holder here. Hey.
Hey, Mr. Holder.
How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
Good. Hey, I'm hearing, and I'm not sure if there's a shortage, but I'm hearing from a lot of parents in the community that and that the children are standing up on the bus. I even had my sister who rides the bus from Mechanicsville to Maynard Jackson. She was showing me how they have to stand up on the buses. Are there any plans to add additional buses?
So they're standing up because there's nowhere to sit. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, the bus is crowded. It's a lot of them having to stand up while they're riding
So has that been shared with the principal or with the or with transportation?
No.
Okay, we definitely need to make sure that folks who are directly touching it are aware. So have those parents reach out and call and share that that's what's happening. I will also reach out on my end, and then we can meet in the middle with a resolution. But definitely, if they're having a problem on the bus, if you're having a problem at school, make sure that you reach out to the principal, and the principal is aware, and then they have a chance to solve the problem. And I will reach out with to the superintendent, and then she will reach out to Mr. Hoskins, who will then reach out to Mr. Franklin and see what we can do about that. And if you could be very specific in terms of the bus route, so what bus number is it? So they can help you out. And if you guys aren't, say it again.
Go ahead. I see someone put in the chat. They may be from Mechanicsville, but they have shared the overcrowded bus.
So I'm gonna share it from my end, and like I said, we gonna meet in the middle and get it done.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing that. And if anyone, y'all, please go on APS website, click that little orange Let's Talk, click, you got an issue with transportation, you are a parent, you have a question or concern, bloop, 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 send that. When you do that, it's a level of accountability more than an email because it's tracking in the system. When did we get that email? When did we reach back out to you? When was the problem resolved? And then it will also send updates to the person who has not resolved that. So also drop it into Let's Talk so we can get it resolved. Like I said, I'll work on my end, you'll work on your end, and we're going to resolve it in the middle.
Okay. All righty. And Ms. Stoops, you'll take us home.
Good afternoon.
Good
Board
afternoon.
I want to first say thanks. I really am excited about Principal Wade and how he worked with the children at Washington. I was a parent that did not want to come to Washington. And so I am a parent that's convinced into bringing Black boys into that space, or helping to bring Black boys into that space. I'm also excited about the Dr. Battle piece. And the tapestry, I want to thank you guys for bringing it to the vote, right? Because that was the ask for the community. So I want to say thank you for bringing it to the vote. Also, special education, that is a thing for us. So making sure that you double down, not just in Washington, but throughout the district, because we need one-on-ones. We just need help in the special education space. I tell you that all the time, so I know you hear me. I want to make sure that we talking about the same equity. You know how you guys ran the equity audit for the tapestry? If we can do that on all of our schools, that makes sense because it provides us with data and real points around the recommendations and the why. And I think the public will better understand that. And I also want to say I'm a parent that have kids in charter and traditional schools. And so the comment that was made tonight, it kind of offended me because the board do vote if the charter school come or stay, right? And I believe that being a mother of 10 kids, you have to do what's best for each individual student. I drop off at 5 locations, so I want to continue to tell the board members to be bold and vote on innovative options and hold all schools accountable. It doesn't matter traditional, partner, charter, like every school that's in the APS school district, I want you to hold those schools to the same accountability and also support them in the same way. And everybody on the call, I want to invite you guys out because we're all concerned about reading, and the board is working on a literacy policy. So I want to invite you guys out to the event that we're having at Atlantic Station on the 20th. And we're going to look at the Right to Read documentary, and that can help us brainstorm and dream about what we want, and we can provide public comment together around literacy. And that's something that I think we all agree to on this call. And so that's something that I would love to work with everybody on, literacy and APS. Thank you, Board Member.
Can you drop that in the chat so folks can see?
John, can you drop it in the chat, please?
And if you don't see it on the chat, check them out online. And thank you for your feedback. Agreed. And I want to acknowledge that our principals are working hard. And this year, well, last year we had a lot of turnover. So we brought in 4 new principals to the Washington cluster. And they inherited somebody else's budget, somebody else's staff, like just, they just had to walk in a couple of weeks before the start of the year. But this year, you should be seeing those new principals like in full glory, meaning this is the budget that they worked with the Go team to work out, staff that they brought in, holes that they filled. And it's good to hear the feedback that I've been hearing around the district from the different schools and leaders. And I'm not trying to give too much love to Washington Cluster. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that they had a lot of transition last year and handled it very well. And so all that being said, I haven't checked the chat to see where we are with any additional questions, but I want to thank all of you guys for coming. I want to thank you all for your feedback and your input. You've given me some things to research and to think about. My mind is not set in stone on anything. I'm always open to feedback and comments. So I appreciate y'all. Let's go out there and do some good work. Is there anyone else on? Let's see. No, I think did family engagement, did you have anything that you wanted to share? Or Travis, was there anything that you wanted to share?
No, just keep an eye out on all the events that are coming up over the next couple of weeks. Family engagement, board meetings, all kinds of stuff happening.
Definitely anything superintendent. Like if you get a survey, right? If you get a request for your input, please give it to us because your voice matters.
So I'll take that moment to throw in my plug. Our first family PL will be next week, Wednesday, the 20th. The flyers have gone out and it will be the new math standards. So hope you guys join us.
When was that?
It will be September 20th, 6:00 p.m. via Zoom.
All right. Thank you all for attending. And I believe we'll be doing these every other month, right? We're going to go odd and even, trying to coordinate with our fellow board members. And we're also going to give a look at the MPU schedule.
That is correct.
All right. Bye, y'all. Enjoy your
have
evening.
a great night, everyone.
Be blessed.